The United States of America and China are locked in a massive battle for the title of the economic superpower, and TikTok has just entered the battlefield. The US-China tech rivalry has been brewing for many years now. From trade agreements to social media platforms, everything is a factor in this race for ultimate supremacy. So, let's take a look. Understanding how both sides operate is crucial before analyzing which side is winning the fight. There's no doubt that both countries want technical advancement. Their strategies are very different. The US and China have fundamentally different political systems and philosophies, and these discrepancies are reflected in how they approach technology and innovation. The US is a capitalist democracy that highly values each person's freedoms and rights. Generally speaking, the U.S. government does not impede the development of the IT industry, allowing for little regulation of private businesses as they innovate and compete in the market. The U.S. also places a high priority on protecting intellectual property rights and fostering a free and open internet. In contrast, China is a communist one-party state with a strong central government that has tremendous influence over both the economy and society. The Chinese government takes a lot more active stance in the tech sector, frequently giving domestic tech firms subsidies and other types of support to help them compete with overseas rivals. China has also been accused of engaging in substantial cyber espionage and pays less attention to protecting intellectual property rights. If anything, the U.S. has repeatedly accused Beijing for IP theft that stands against several international trade agreements. Yet, the Chinese Communist Party never falters. The Chinese government's approach to innovation and technology worries the U.S. administration because it may jeopardize U.S. economic and national security interests. On the other hand, the Chinese leadership believes that the U.S. aims to obstruct its growth and delay its ascent to world dominance. These ideological differences have a massive effect on how the two countries filter the content that gets through to their public. China uses a set of internet filters known as the Great Firewall that censors anything deemed to be politically sensitive or harmful and blocks access to many international websites. These filters can be used to, filter what the Chinese public watches on certain social media platforms, a power that the U.S. government does not have over its people. Now, the quintessential Chinese tendency of data surveillance is finding its roots in the U.S. That too, via an application that 150 million Americans use: TikTok. Since China's technological companies are controlled by the government, it has the ability to restrict the use of certain applications and platforms for the Chinese population. On the other hand, the platforms created by these Chinese tech companies are basically under the government's control. TikTok, for example, is a social media platform created by ByteDance. Like any social media network, the parent corporation has full access to every user's private information. As the program gained traction in the U.S. authorities worried that the parent business, ByteDance, would provide the Chinese government access to user information which could subsequently be exploited for political ends. TikTok's potential for political usage includes the dissemination of misinformation or propaganda, at least allegedly. The Chinese government may utilize TikTok to advance particular political narratives or messages that are supportive of China or to disparage the actions or standing of the U.S. government. This could entail disseminating inaccurate information or unfairly emphasizing specific problems. And the average U.S. citizen gets most of their information through scrolling on social media platforms. If these platforms have the power to control what a user gets to consume, it can seriously mislead the population of a certain area into thinking whatever the authorities want. Certain words and actions taken out of context can turn many people against their governments. And what really worries the U.S. is the application's algorithm that operates on saved information of its users. TikTok stirred conversation of invasion of privacy and data warfare when it quietly allowed itself for large-scale data collection of its users, including their contacts, location, and biometric information. The Chinese government might utilize this material for spying or other actions that could be detrimental to U.S. interests if it were to come to light that they have access to it. And its history with data warfare, particularly in Ukraine, is highly questionable. TikTok might also be employed as a censoring tool. If the Chinese government has any power over TikTok, they might use it to censor information that supports beliefs that are in opposition to their political objectives or that are critical of the Chinese government. Information censorship and the suppression of dissent are historically typical practices of the Chinese government. It was obvious that these worries were too significant for the US government to ignore. The US took some pretty major efforts to make sure TikTok wasn't being utilized for espionage by the Chinese government. It was reported as a major issue for a time. The US government had to respond, and the first thing they did was conduct a TikTok inquiry to look for any indications of wrongdoing. Then, they exerted pressure on ByteDance to transfer TikTok to a US-based business so that it would be governed by US laws and regulations rather than Chinese ones. It took some negotiating, but Oracle and Walmart agreed to buy a stake in TikTok and take control of its US operations. This was regarded as a means of ensuring that TikTok was operated in a manner that was consistent with US objectives and that sensitive information was not being transmitted to China. Since TikTok captures a lot of user-provided personal data, there were also questions about its data privacy policies. In order to solve this, TikTok opened a transparency center in the US, where specialists could check the app's code for any indications of eavesdropping, as well as a variety of other new safeguards to protect user data. Yet the questioning of TikTok's motives and its weaponization by China just didn't appear overnight. As of now, many Republican leaders in the US are calling for a complete ban of TikTok in the country. And the Congress hearing of TikTok CEO Xiao Zishu might be the first step here. So let's just say that Xiao Zishu couldn't appease the Congress at all. Repeatedly, the U.S. lawmakers expressed bipartisan concerns over potential Chinese influence on TikTok's platform and criticized the app's impact on children's mental health. During the hearing, not a single lawmaker showed support for TikTok as they found CEO Chu's answers on China to be evasive. Many accused TikTok of promoting content that encourages eating disorders, illegal drug sales, and inappropriate exploitation among children. Chu responded by stating that the issues were complex and not just unique to one social media platform. Hardly a defense, but he wasn't wrong either. A bipartisan legislation backed by 20 U.S. senators has been proposed to give President Biden's administration a path to ban TikTok. This has added a new element of tension between Washington and Beijing. Recently, TikTok revealed that the Biden administration has compelled its Chinese owners to sell their holdings or risk being banned. Chu asserted that the problem was not about the ownership and that by relocating data to its American storage facilities, U.S. worries could be allayed. The forced sale of TikTok was opposed by the Chinese Ministry of Commerce on the grounds that it would undermine foreign investors' faith in the United States, notably Chinese investors. Chu consistently refuted allegations that TikTok shared data or had ties to the Chinese Communist Party throughout the 5 hours of questioning. Additionally, he claimed that the site was taking all necessary precautions to protect its 150 million American users. According to Chu, TikTok has been constructing a firewall for more than 2 years to secure sensitive U.S. user data from unauthorized international access. He emphasized that American data is stored by an American corporation on American soil and is under the watchful eye of Americans. Legislators' main worries and criticisms of Chu focused on whether TikTok was the greatest option for kids in the United States. In response to this, Chu stated that the business was putting money into artificial intelligence and content moderation. The American parents, however, did not find these claims to be adequate. The worst part is that TikTok is not available in China, only its variant is. So whatever content is on this network is only consumed by the US population. If there was no risk of Chinese children watching the stuff that's on there, do you think ByteDance would do whatever it can to filter the content? Comment what you think down below and make sure to check out our next video.